Today I'm going to be showing you my best gardening videos for this year. Whether you're a seasoned gardener or a beginner, there are sure to be a few tips that'll help you to make your garden experience a lot better for the year ahead. And if this is your first time here, my name is Marlene. Welcome to my Home and Garden channel. Now let's go ahead and take a look at these videos.
Maybe you planted your iris flowers a few years ago, or possibly last autumn, in the hopes that you would have some nice, beautiful, fluffy flowers to beautify your spring garden, like I have here. But instead, you are seeing lots and lots of leaves and no blooms, and this can be very disheartening, especially if you are a new gardener. So, not to worry, in today's video, I'm going to go over 7 reasons why your iris is not blooming, and we'll take a look at some solutions to help you over time to get this resolved. If this is your first time here, my name is Marlene, and I just want to say welcome to each and everyone. Welcome to Marlene's How-Tos, my home and garden channel. So typically, as gardeners, whenever we're not getting blooms, we want to put food on our plant, and we have different types here. Sometimes bone meal may be used as well, but this is usually not a remedy for iris flowers unless the soil is really bad in your area. Take a look here. This is actually the storage roots. These are called rhizomes that are on the iris flowers, and that's what they use to store their food. And just to give you a comparison here, these are some ginger roots. These are also rhizomes here as well. They grow in a similar way, and as you can see, they are quite thick. There's a lot of food storage taking place in there, so they typically have more than enough food than they need. It helps to feed the plant. When it's dormant, it's building up. That comes down from the leaves, and you can see this ginger root is actually springing up right here. So more than enough going on there for these types of plants. So let's look at the reasons why. So reason number 1 is not enough sunlight. And that's because this plant, it typically needs 6 or more hours of direct sunlight. They really need that. So if your plant is in a shaded area, then you'll have to get more light on it, or you may have to move them, and we'll take a look at that further in the video. The second reason would be that the plant is not mature enough. So if you just planted them, say last autumn, then the following spring, they're not fully established yet, like some I have here that growing over to the side. Just a few of them there, so they're still pretty young. But over time, they fix themselves, and I was able to get blooms similar to these ones right here. So it's just a matter of giving them time if you are just planting them for the first time. Number 3 would be overcrowding. If you look there, you'll see that the rhizomes in the ground, that they're almost overlapping in some places. They're so close together. They're competing for food. They're competing for water, and they're just all bunched in, and that's not good for them at all. So typically when you have too much of that going on, you kind of have to go in and take some out, like I'm doing right here. So I'm using my trowel right here, and I'll link it below. So if you wanted one like these from Amazon, you can always get one. It's pretty sturdy and pretty good for this type of job that we have going here. And you just go in and you slowly ease them out gently, because they're pretty brittle, so they can pop. And if you're going to plant it, you don't want it to be broken, because it may get, disease or rot or whatever. So you can see that we have the main rhizome there, and we have some smaller roots coming off. And, this is what you want to do. Take this off, and you'll use it somewhere else. And once you've taken one off, you just go in and take out a few more of them until everything looks light and reasonable. If you don't have, other areas around your garden to place them, like flower beds, you can always put them in a large container. Just make sure that it's a reasonably good size, because they do spread over time, and you don't want them to get crowded too quickly in your container. Or you can give them to a neighbor or a friend, like I did. I gave some to my friend Kayan, and she showed me the very next spring that she had a nice little bloom on this one over here, and we were so very excited to see this. As you can see, it's coming up, and it did so well. So I was so happy for her. And it's really good to share your plants with others if you have a lot, just so that bring them some, happiness and coloration to their garden. The next thing is that, and that's number 4, that maybe you're planting them too deep initially. And I will link a video at the end that's going to show you, like how to plant them, when to plant them, the proper depth and so on. So that way you can get the best out of your iris plants, because they are just such wonderful flowers. I absolutely love them. They're very large and they're very beautiful. They multiply and they just come back year after year. So I really love them. The next thing is that possibly, and this is number 5, that you're putting too much mulch on them. I'm just showing you some cypress mulch right here. You can have pine bark mulch, different types of mulch. But if there's too much on them, then what happens is when it goes on them, it gets root rot, and that affects the plant. So over here, I just wanted to show you that we, for these beautiful ones right here, that we actually use some river rocks. See how lovely they look? They're just thriving so well right there. Little river pebbles is sometimes what it's referred to as. And it's just basically one layer that's going on there. And not only does it cover the function of making your landscaping look really nice, but it also is beautiful. It just has that organic look, and it works so well for them. So we were quite happy with that choice. So of course, you have different types that you can use. Some people don't mulch them at all, but I think it's good to have a little something on them, and see how nice these stones are. So there maybe you can use, like tumbled glass or something like that, whatever you prefer, but just something that gives them just a little bit of protection, but not too deep, because we don't want to have root rot and all the other problems that go with that. And so just to say that, this is a home and garden channel. I do a lot of gardening videos, and I would absolutely love for you to hit the subscribe button and tap the notification bell twice, so that way you never miss an upload. You can always see what I'm up to and get more information. So now we're moving on to the next possibility, and this is that you're actually having pests on your iris plant. So right, you can see that these roots are damaged. They have some leaf borer pests going through that go down to the roots and actually affect them. And unfortunately, when they are like that, you just have to go in and take them out. Unfortunately, we don't want to lose our plant, but in this case, you really have to take them out, because we don't want it to spread to other parts of the plant and you lose your entire, all of your flowers. You really don't want that. So we just go in and ease them out. And as you can see, I took my time doing it just to make sure it doesn't impact anything else that might be close by. And I'll just take it out. And this, you'll want to make sure you're putting it not in a compost heap, but you want to put those in the trash so they just don't get spread anywhere else. And just to say that as a gardener, it's really good to go in and inspect your flowers, go around and inspect your garden, because you can have infestations coming in such a short time, whether it be from pests or diseases. So it's good to keep an eye on them. Like here, for example, you see that these are looking like weevils right here that's coming out. And this doesn't really prevent your plant from flowering, but it can be like an annoyance, so it's good to just get rid of them. So what I did was to go in and spray with some insecticidal soap on here to get them off. And then you just leave it on for 24 hours. And you can go in and then just spray it off with a hose. And these are some of the options that you have on here. I'll link some of them in the description box below as well. You can get those on Amazon. And most of them are pretty effective. Some people make their own insecticidal soap. It just depends on what works best for you. The next thing is trimming them back too soon, because after your blooms have gone, of course you're going to cut those out, but it's good to just take your blooms out and leave the leaves for a while. Allow them to build up some energy in the leaves, because those are going to get stored in the roots. And I understand that, yes, your garden, you want it to look really pretty and green all the time, but this is a natural part of bulbs, whether it be iris, with the rhizomes, or tulips, daffodils, whatever. They have to build up energy for the next season. So what you can actually do is to get some other flowers, that will come in after them, so they're not competing at the same time. So when the iris goes, then you can get, like, say, these beautiful purple cone flowers right here, or echinacea as we call it, and you can plant them right in front of it or to the side, so that way it kind of offers, a nice option. So while they're changing, the leaves on the iris is changing, these are beautifying the space for you. Over here's another option as well too. These are annuals, so the coneflowers are perennials, but these are annuals, so they, they'll die out after a year, but they produce a lot of seeds and they're really good pollinators, so definitely a good choice as well too. So now let's go ahead and summarize and take a look at a bonus tip that I have for you as well. So the first reason was that you're not getting enough sunlight, so make sure that you are putting them in a spot, if you're planting them for the first time, that you're putting them in an area that gets a lot of sun. If you need to, you can always clear out some of the trees or bushes that's in that area that's maybe shadowing them over too much. Or you can move the plant like you saw me move some of the rhizomes, and you can move those typically either early spring or you can move them, early fall. Either one is fine. The next one is to make sure that it's not that a case where it's just too young and it hasn't had enough time to develop yet. In this case, you just have to practice some patience like I did, and it will reward you the following year. So take heart, that option is there for you. The next one is that it could be too crowded in the roots, the rhizomes. You want to ease some out if you're seeing that crisscross pattern going on there. And then the next one is that you don't want to have them too deep, so you want to keep an eye on that. And also the mulching, make sure the mulching is not too much, just lightly spread like I have these here, so that way you're not smothering out the roots, you're not going to get any root rot or anything like that. And then of course we want to make sure that we don't have any pests on there or any kind of diseases. We want to treat those as needed. And finally, you want to make sure that you're not trimming them back too early, because if you trim them back too early, they don't have enough time to build up enough energy. Now the bonus is that you want to make sure that you know where east, west, north, and south is, because for gardeners, if you plant your flowers in a north-facing garden, then typically you're going to get less sunlight. So just remember that the sun rises in the east and it sets in the west, so that should give you an idea where north is. So try to go for south, west, or east areas if you're planting sun-loving flowers, and that should help you out a lot in making that decision. And I just wanted to take a moment to let you know that, I do live videos most Saturdays. They are freestyle. We have lots of fun. It's very laid back. And you can always go in and tap on my channel icon and hit the live tab, and you'll see previous ones that I did. Or you can even join me on some future ones, so we can just shoot the breeze, talk about topical things and just have some fun. I do want to thank you so much for watching. I wish you all the very best with your iris flowers. I hope you have a wonderful spring leading into summer. I do hope to see you in the next video. Take care.
So today we're going to be planting perennial flowers, and perennial flowers are those kinds that come back every year. First, we're going to go shopping for a few, and then we'll do the step-by-step on exactly how to plant them for the best results. And if you have never been here before, my name is Marlene. Welcome to Marlene's How-Tos, my home and garden channel.
So my husband came along with me because today we're getting quite a few items, and these are actually not for our garden. This is actually for a friend that's like a mother to us. She wants to have low maintenance plants that come back with beautiful flowers year after year, which is what the perennials would be. So we're getting her varieties here that will work perfectly for her. We have salvia, we have daylilies of different colors. This is what we saw here as the best choices for her. They are drought resistant, they are deer resistant. They attract beautiful hummingbirds and butterflies and bees. So this is just lovely, lovely for your garden. So perennials, they die back in the winter and they come back in the early spring, sometimes, late spring. And they just beautify your space, and they're wonderful to have. Coneflowers are another option as well too, but we didn't see this color that we wanted, so we didn't get those today. Roses are another good option too, for perennials, plants that come back every year if you don't want to have to keep, planting stuff all the time. But they are high maintenance. And that's because the area where we are, the southeastern United States, it gets hot and humid, and so they get prone to fungal diseases such as black spot. And you'll find that as it gets further into the season, there are also a lot of infestations that take place, like Japanese beetle and other types of bugs Plus, there's also the issue where you have to, have them deadheaded and have them pruned back from time to time. So I would say they're pretty, but not no maintenance. And then over here now, another good option would be hostas. And these, you don't have to do too much with them, pretty low maintenance. And these though are for shaded areas. So if you have a shaded or part shaded area in your garden, then they would be perfect. And they produce beautiful flowers that attract hummingbirds. So pretty good choice there. You can see it says part sun, 4 to 6 hours of sun per day. Over here we have some Lenten rose. These are more like for spring. They don't really go over much blooming into the summertime, but they do come back every year. They are typically one of the first flowers that you'll have blooming in your garden. So another good choice there as well. So let's go down to our shopping here. So we're getting some garden soil, and they had a good price on them today for this particular brand, 5 for $10. Of course, you can choose whatever brand you like. This just happens to be the one that they had on special. And you also need to get your black mulch. You already had black mulch in the yard, so we just got some more to match in with that. So here is us putting some of our stuff together. Here you can see we have our daylily, our mulch, our soil, and we have yellow and purple. So we need to add in some pink to that as well. And that's where the pink salvia came into play. And I like to use colors from the opposite side of the color wheel, so they kind of have that variety. So this is one of the areas that we're going to be working with here. You can see that we had some bulbs that came up, and these actually are pretty yellow enough now, so we can go in and get them cut out. And then over here is the flower bed for the porch. And it's a lot larger than it looks right here. It's probably just the angle of the camera. And as you can see, we're still in the morning. The sun is coming up a little bit. And so we're going to go ahead and get started. And over here we have a container garden. We're going to be working on that as well too. So let's take a look at the lineup here. So we have our pink salvia. We have our daylilies right there. And we also have our salvia, the purple one over here. And they have a nice smell too. It's almost like mint. So they have that nice smell as well too when you're handling them. And daylilies come in other colors too, so you do have other options. So we're going to also go ahead too and add in some annuals to the container garden. And it's a really good idea to put container gardens or hanging baskets to bring that instant pop of color while you're waiting for the perennials to come up. So this over here would be the container garden, and we had planted tulips and pansies in there for her to go over the winter, the pansies, and then the tulips came up afterwards. So here you can see the daffodils. The flowers are faded, but the leaves are still green. So we're going to use the perennials that we're putting in here to kind of block those off a little bit, because we have to allow them to dry down at least partially, yellow up a little bit before we take them out. These ones over here, they can be taken out. They're seeding and they're ready to go. So this is how we're going to do them. Here we can see we try to, like I said, have them line up so they kind of block off some of the ones that we're waiting for those to fade out. Another important thing too, guys, is to know the outdoor planting dates for your area. And, this for the United States here, this is what it looks like. And these can be found on the back of any pack of seeds, or you can even look them up online so you can know exactly when to put out your perennials. Because the last thing you want to do is to put them out, and then you get a cold snap, and then all of that goes to waste. So we're going to go ahead and start with the process here now. There is some mulch already here. This is a new subdivision, so everything was already nicely set up. So we're just going to go in and mark the spots to where we're going to put it, and then we have to go in and dig into the soil. I'm not sure why the trash bag got stuck on there, but as you can see, it was sitting right there. So this is the soil. You can see a little bit of clay is down in there. And again, because it's a new area, the clay is not compact, but it is heavy, so it has to be taken out. And you can use it maybe for some other area to build it up. But for right now, we don't want that in there. We want to have nice, rich soil. So you make sure that it's, wide enough so your plant fits in there. You can leave an inch or two of width on there. If it's more compact, you can make it a little bit wider, so that way, your plant can spread out more easily. But this, like I said, is fairly soft, so, that space that we got for it should be reasonable. And then you free up the bottom a little bit, the roots that are down there, so you kind of give them a head start so they can spread out a little more easily. And then you place it in there. You want to make sure it's level with the soil that's surrounding it, because if it's too high, it's gonna dry out. It needs to go down in and have a little soil cover over on it. So you just fill in the spaces in there. No gaps. You don't want to have any air gaps in there. And if it's too low, you can always ease it back out, put a little bit more soil back in, and that way you can get it level. So it's not a perfect science, just a little trial and error until you get it right. So we just go in and fill it in, and if you like, you can add some slow release fertilizer on there if you don't intend to feed them throughout the season. And we'll touch on that a little bit towards the end of the video, so make sure that you stay tuned for that part as well. So you just go in and fill it in, press in lightly to make sure that you don't have any ear pockets in there. What I like to do is I like to, when I'm planting my flowers, I try to do them like a few days before it rains. So that way, if it does, it gives them that refresh. There's nothing like when the rain falls on the soil, guys. I'm telling you, it just does something. And we're going to go ahead and just pull the mulch back in. Or if you didn't have any surrounding, you can always go ahead and purchase some and, go ahead and fill it out. So we just needed to pull some back over here. And we'll do the same thing for our salvia as well. Same process. It smells so nice. So over here now, this is the area where the young maple tree is. We're going to go in and cut these out because, again, they have produced enough food so we can take them down and they will come back next year. So basically, she has it set up where in the early spring, she'll have her bulbs, like her tulips and all the other ones that we put down. So those are going to color the garden. And then once we get to mid and late spring and into the summer, then she'll have the perennials that are there. So we just cut those off and clear them out, and you can put them in your compost pile. As long as they didn't have any disease on there, you're welcome to put those in there. And even the little part that's left back there, it will still keep producing food for the plants. So it's still not completely over that phase. So here my husband he's the one that's doing this section right here where he's putting in the plants. And he basically just alternated them, like one of the daylily and then one of the salvia. So you have that mix of color in there. Of course, you can, add maybe more different colors if you like, but not too many, so it gets too, too overcrowded and the plants don't have a chance to spread out completely. So this was basically sufficient for what we were doing. So now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the container. As you can see, it produced some seeds there, the tulips, and the leaves are fully dried out. So that is actually perfect. So we're going to go in and get those taken out. You can see the pansies down there. So I'm going to put some pentas in. And this would be our thriller. And you have a lot of blooms that are going to be coming out. So we absolutely love that. And you always want to have one to make sure you know what color it is that you're getting, because sometimes they get mixed up at the garden center. And then here we have our marigolds. These are our fillers. And over here we have our wave petunias. And I did a previous video that I'm going to be linking at the end. That's going to show you. So we're going to go in and clear out all of the things that we have in here. We're going to lift the mulch out, and we're going to go ahead and take those pansies. And these also, guys, you can go ahead and you can put them in your compost pile. And again, make sure they didn't have any disease on them. If not, you can just toss them in the trash and just be done with it. Because they're annuals, they're not going to come back. So they're pretty much at the end of their lifespan right here. So we'll go ahead and take those out and just put them over there. And then we go in and we ease out the tulip bulbs. So this is what it looked like here. Lots of roots, leaves have dried down. So that's perfect. And for the southeastern United States, tulips are not good repeaters in terms of coming back year after year after year. But typically, you can get at least 2 good years out of them. Maybe by the 3rd year, the blooms will get small. And then eventually you won't get any blooms at all. But we can certainly use these again because we had just planted them in the fall. So they've only bloomed once so far. So you'll take the top off and get off as much of the soil as you can. And then, store them in a brown paper bag. Tiny ones like these, though, I just toss them because I don't think we're going to get too much out of those. They didn't build up enough. And if you wanted to see, how I did the arrangement for these specific flowers with a thriller, filler, and spiller, be sure to check out this video that I did. That's my previous video. I'm going to link it at the end for you so you can take a look at all the step-by-step of how we did that. And if you've never subscribed to my channel before, I do lots of gardening. Sometimes I do arrange flowers. So, be sure to hit the subscribe button and tap on the notification bell twice so you'll never miss an upload, and you'll also be recommended to the ones that have been done in the past as well. So of course the next step would be to go ahead and give them a nice, so you can see we have a little rainbow forming right there. Just make sure you give them a good watering. And again, if you can do it before it rains, like a day or two before, that also helps them a lot. Other than that, just water them every day for the first 5 days at least, unless it's raining, to make sure that they stay hydrated. And then as needed, you just make sure that they dry out a little bit first before you water again, not every day once they have been established. So this is how they're looking here. The sun is really bright, so the mulch is not looking as black as it really is. You're not seeing that great contrast, but nevertheless, we were very pleased with how it came out. Quite a few neighbors passed by, we were told, and they really liked how everything turned out. And these are going to fill out so nicely in about 3 weeks or so. So I hope we'll get to show you a follow-up on this. It's going to be gorgeous over here. And again, check out the video linked at the end to see the step-by-step for how I did that container garden with those specific flowers. And so then, once your plants have come in after about 2 weeks or so have passed, you'll want to give them some food if you did not give them like a slow release fertilizer. And you can use whatever brand you like. And make sure that your plant is wet before you feed them. And if you want to get a step-by-step on exactly how to water, how to feed them the right way, then I will go ahead and link the video at the end. I will, so you can click on it there and you can see that. So she also had some azaleas right here. They had kind of gotten beaten up this winter because we had a really cold dip a few days in January. So I'm going to go ahead and trim some off for her to make it a little bit neater. And this also encourages the plant to put out more branching, so it's going to fill out and look really nice for her. So this is what we have going here, guys. Hopefully we'll get a chance to check in with you again to see how they have come along. And I really hope that this gave you some great ideas for your garden. Of course, you can always mix and match whatever types you like. This was just to give you, some pointers as to what really works for me. And I certainly wish you all the very best with your spring gardening. Make it fun. It's so relaxing. Thank you so much for watching. I do hope to see you in the next video. Enjoy your spring and summer. Take care. Yes, guys, you too can have beautiful Easter lilies in your garden. And in today's video, I'm going to show you how to plant them, care for them, pests, as well as a bonus as to how to have the blooms last for a longer time. If you've never been here before, my name is Marlene. Welcome to my Home and Garden channel, where it's all about flowers and gardening. So you may have gotten Easter lilies or bought them for yourself in these beautiful containers at Easter time, and I just love those gorgeous colors that they put them in. And of course the lilies themselves are just absolutely gorgeous, and oftentimes they get thrown out once they start to fade, but you can actually plant them and have them come back year after year, and I'm going to show you how to do that further down in the video. But just speaking of lilies on a whole, lilies, they belong to it's a large family. And there are different types of lilies. These Easter ones, you can see that they're more trumpet shaped, and that the blooms, they point off to the side. And they're not to be confused with like your Asiatic lilies that point upwards. Usually come in many different colors, and they're not as trumpet shaped. The leaves are very similar though, so it can be a little confusing sometimes. We also have these beautiful calla lilies. And they are called lilies, but they are actually not true lilies. They are perennials, and they're wonderful. They make a wonderful addition to your garden, and they do come in different colors. But again, they are not true lilies. So as far as lilies go, they are actually good to grow from zones 5 through 11. If you're not sure about what your growing zone is, you can always check and see, what it is. They have a beautiful fragrance. As you can see, we have some ants pollinating in there. They attract pollinators as well to your garden, so that's an additional plus. And of course, they are a mainstay as far as Easter decorations go. You pretty much always see them. So I'm going to show you how to plant them, whether it be from, the ones in containers like these, when they're finished, or if you wanted to get them from bulbs. And just to say that this video is a part of an open collaboration hosted by the Buckeye Girls Decor at Home with Lisa and 11 other lovely ladies, including me. And I'll be linking our channels in the description box below. Each person will be doing their own presentation as to their contribution towards Easter. So over here now we have some bulbs. I got these from my garden, and they may look a little different if you order them from catalog online, but you can see that you have the roots at the bottom showing there and a little bit of the stem at the top. And I dug these up because I wanted to move them to a different area, and I waited until they dried all the way down. If you're going to put them in a container, you want to make sure it has holes in the bottom because they do need rich but well-drained soil. But just to ensure that the soil doesn't run out, I typically add a coffee filter in the bottom, so that way, it doesn't all go out, but at the same time, you have moisture being retained. And you can use your potting soil mix, whatever brand you like. This is the one I'm using here. If you are going to be planting them in the flower beds, then you'll want to get some garden soil. And of course, you'll always want to make sure that you have some mulch. This is actually pine bark mulch, one of my favorites, but there are different kinds that you can use. And I have my trowel here. And I'll be linking some of these items in the description box below where you can get them on Amazon. So you can always check those out as well too. You want to place your bulb upright in an upright position, the pointy part at the top, and then you're going to go in and add your potting soil. And if you're putting it in your flower bed, you can always add maybe some compost in, or even for the potted ones as well too, if you have that to add in as well. And then you'll want to make sure that you're going to fill it and leave about at least an inch above the lid or the lip of the container. And then you go in and you fill, you cover it over with your mulch. And this actually helps, the moisture to be retained, as well as it keeps it, protected from, any excess cold in the winter time. And, it keeps weeds away. So mulching is very, very good. And they really, really like that too. So once you've planted that, then you're going to go ahead and, water it. Make sure the water, soaks all the way through. And then once it's soaked all the way through, you should see some running out at the bottom. So that way you know that you hit all the little dry pockets in there. So you are good to go. And if you're going to do it from the pots, what you'll want to do is to make sure that, of course, your flowers have faded. You want to enjoy those first. And then you look for the leaves to start yellowing a little bit because, that photosynthesis is going down. So it has stored more than enough energy to carry it forward. And this right here, it's not one of those that, turn yellow on me. I'm just moving one from one space to another. So I thought I'd just use this one to show you, but you would do it in the exact same way if you are going to move it from, say, the container to your flower bed, or maybe to a larger pot. And we're just going to top it off here. And if you have made it this far in the video, I certainly hope that you'll give me a thumbs up if you're enjoying the information so far. And if you want to know more about, gardening, any little tips that I have to give you, or just to show you what I'm doing, or sometimes I may even arrange fresh flowers, be sure to hit the subscribe button and tap on the notification bell twice so you will never miss an upload. So I'm just topping it off here, and the same rule applies. You want to make sure that you're leaving at least, an inch once you've put all your soil in above the lid. And then you would go in and you add your mulch to it, just making sure that it's fully covered all around. And they'll be quite happy with that. And then you'll just water them as I did in the previous section. And in the springtime, if they're in your flower bed, this is what it looks like in early spring when they're coming up. You can see they look nice and healthy, and you can see that they have multiplied. Initially, at first, you'll get a few blooms, but over time, you'll see that, it becomes more and more. as they, multiply and they get enough energy and all of that. You can see I have some pairing with some other types of flowers as well. And then once they have faded and the leaves have started to turn yellow, usually at about this stage I'll cut them back. You don't have to, you can always wait for a little bit longer, but sometimes you may want to have other flowers in your garden, so you want to cut them down at this point so you can enjoy other colors, or plant something that's larger so that way it will kind of hide them so you won't see the yellowing of the leaves. And you'll just go in and use a nice clean sharp clipper like I have here, and I'll also link that below for you as well. And you just go in and you take them out. Sometimes you may notice that there's some little pests on there. In this case, these are looking like weevils. And you can just go ahead and get some insecticidal soap and spray them either before or after you cut them off. Just make sure that you fully soak the leaves out so that you don't have to worry too much about them. And then, once you've done your planting and whatever it is that you need to do, you can just enjoy your beautiful lilies when they come up. They just make such a wonderful addition to your garden. The blooms last typically for 2 weeks. So it's good that you have multiple blooms and they don't all open at the same time. So it's continuous. You have one set fading and then they'll come through again. And you can see the little raindrops on there. They enjoyed a nice shower of rain. So over here now I'm just showing you some beautiful purple flowers. There are different types here, but some of these make good additions to blend in your flower bed with your Easter lilies. So over here now I'm just showing you these, and what I'm wanting to say is that if you wanted them to last longer, then what you would do is they say you can just go in and snip off the yellow anthers with the pollen on top there, and that's going to have your flower last for a longer time. I personally like to have them stay there because I just like to enjoy the contrast of the color. And once the flowers have faded, if you don't cut them off, you'll see that the seed head starts to form there. You can grow them from seed, but bear in mind it's going to take a longer time for you to get blooms because it's going to need a couple more years for them to mature enough and give you flowers. So I hope you got some great information from this. And be sure to check out the video at the end and any other ones that you may see there that might interest you. But these are just wonderful flowers. So if it's Easter time and you're watching this in this season, I hope that you will have, a wonderful Easter season. I hope you get to try some of these. They just come back every year. They're so worth it. They make such a beautiful addition to your garden. And just to say that, apart from my gardening videos, I do live videos on Saturdays, most Saturdays. And we talk about various topics, things that are topical and seasonal. So be sure to stop by and check that out. I certainly thank you for staying with me today. Thank you so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of the day. Take care.
There's also a video towards the end that was not made this year, but it did so well that I wanted to include it as well. So be sure to stick around for that.
Today we're going to show you how we made our first raised bed, and it was fairly quick and easy. You may have heard about the lasagna or the hookah culture methods, but they do take a longer time for the material to break down. So we'll show you how we did ours in the hopes that it gives you some great ideas. And if this is your first time here, my name is Marlene. Welcome to Marlene's How-Tos, my home and garden channel. So first we're going to start off with some of the materials that we used, and in this case it's actually cinder blocks. And we like cinder blocks because they are pretty safe. They're made from stone. I would say definitely try to avoid pressure treated lumber because they have chemicals in them that help them to last longer, but when the chemicals leach out into the soil it can be harmful over time. There are also smaller blocks that you can use. These ones right here are of a similar price per unit, but of course you'll need more of them if you to cover the same area. The cinder blocks were actually 16 by 8 by 8, so it gives you a rough idea, of what how many you would need for the area that you're working with. And speaking of area, the next thing is just to show you what our flower bed looked like before in a previous year. As you can see, it's not raised at all. We just basically had some edging and some wood around it. And our backyard is sloping as well too, so we're going to be working on that. Now, a thing to bear in mind is light requirements. You want to make sure that you get an area that has sun if you're planting veggies and herbs, because they love that. And once you put it down, you can't move it again. And then if your soil is level or not too level, then you can go in and just clear off the weeds right here like we did. And as you can see, it's a very heavy clay soil that we have, so make sure, whatever soil you have, that you're making sure that it's wet before you go in and clear it off. So that's one way of doing it. And here you can see that my husband is using the shovel to just slide them off. A little bit of moss was there too, so we're taking that off. And sometimes you get the question, the difference between a shovel and a spade. Well, here he's showing you that this is a shovel right here. It's square at the top, while the spade, on the other hand, is a little bit more pointy, and that's like more for digging than for clearing off the space that we just showed you right there. So you just want to go in and clear the area off that you're using. If you didn't want to go that route, an easier way, if you have a little bit more time, is just to spread some cardboard or some newspaper with weights on there over the weeds for a few days, and then you'll see that they will die off, and then you won't have to worry about them coming up. So once you've secured your area, the next thing you want to do is to start with the corners, which is what we did here. And basically what we did was to just use a staggered method, or alternate method if you wanted to call it that. And that's something to bear in mind, to avoid stacking them incorrectly. You want to make sure that you're stacking them in that way so there's a little bit more stability in them. And I think it looks nicer too when you have that pattern going. And once you start at the corners and you just match them out, you just end it when you're ready, and you should be good to go there. And of course, you're seeing 2 rows here, but we're going to carry the soil all the way up to level out some parts of it, so you'll see a little less as we go into the process further. And here we also did put some river rocks in here as well to shore it up. But again, this is just for our specific purpose of what we're doing here. You would not need that if your ground area is level and you just wanted to put the, your cinder blocks right on top of it. And that's what the river pebbles look like there. If your bed is very deep, you can always go ahead and fill in the bottom with, like small tree branches, like the lasagna method and the culture method. Sometimes they'll use like larger sticks, which takes a longer time to break down. So it's better to use the smaller ones. And if it's not very deep, you may want to use branches that don't have any seed heads on there, like the myrtle branches did a few minutes ago, and just use something that's clean like this and put it down in there. Now guys, you definitely will not need as much soil as we're getting right here. We got this much again because we are leveling out the back. It's something that we've wanted to do for quite a few years, and we finally got around to it because it's been slipping a little bit. So we decided to just go ahead and get this done. So we ordered the soil, and they came in pretty much on time, and we got it. And I think this was maybe the hardest part of the job, actually, to get this shoveled around. Luckily, we have our sons to help us, so we went through, little by little, and we got that carried around. So I wouldn't put that necessarily in the time frame that it takes, because this is something, extra that we were doing there. But everything worked out pretty good with the soil. Now, what I will say is that this is topsoil, and it's just basically, for leveling out certain spots that you may have, and to just fill in the area right over the branches, the very bottom of it, because there's no nutritional, there are no nutrients much in here that's going to help your plants. Matter of fact, sometimes it pulls nutrients away from your good soil. So this is just to put at the bottom, like over your branches, or, just to start off as a foundation at the bottom. And that's what it looks like in there. You can see not too much going on, mostly like a lot of wood in it, and just not a lot of nutrients that will be available to your plant. So you'll want to bear that in mind. And so over here now, we basically have it shaped out, as you can see here. And we had the topsoil laid out. And we got some good soil to go in there. We got some garden soil, and you can see we have different types there. Now some people may want to fill in the holes, but I would say bear in mind that if you are going to be filling in the holes, that you have to stretch over to get to the bed. So also something to avoid is not to make your bed too wide as well, because you don't want to be walking in the bed. So if you need to do, more than one and make them more narrow, then, I would say go that way, as opposed to, making it too wide and you can't reach and you want to be stepping in your bed and all of that. And we have some flowers we're going to put in here. These are some good companion flowers like the marigold and the salvia that you saw a moment ago with the purple flowers. And those help to attract the right pollinators to the garden. So we're going to be putting down some of that as well. So let's take a closer look. So here is the garden soil, and you can use whatever brand you like. And typically with the garden soil, you can use the regular one or you can use the organic one. Of course, the organic one costs a little bit more, but you always want to make sure that you're going to be mixing something in with them to enrich the soil. And so in this case, what we did was we added in some compost and manure mix into it to give it a little bit more, so it holds the water a little bit better and you have a lot more nutrients. Of course, if you do your own composting, more power to you. I would say definitely you have an advantage there. And over time too, as the soil gets used up, the nutrients get absorbed by your fruits and your veggies and your herbs. You can always, go in and mix more in over time. So this is kind of like an investment in a sense. You'll be adding more to it. And by the way, guys, I do a lot of gardening videos. So if you do like gardening and flowers, because sometimes I do arrange them, be sure to hit the subscribe button and tap on the notification bell twice so you never miss an upload. And this will also allow you to get to see some of the past ones that I've done as well too. So let's see what we're going to be planting today. You can see the seeds right there. I had a few different things that I wanted put down in there. So we actually had, I'll go over them individually with you. And I just tried to get some ones that I knew that I really liked before, like these tomatoes right here. I enjoy the tomatoes. So I got some of the seeds, as you can see, then I dried them out first on some paper towels and then, spread them out here to get started. I have some cosmos here that I'm going to be sowing as well. And these are also, good pollinators. They help to attract the bees, butterflies, and certain, beneficial wasps that may come over to protect your plants from the wrong pests. We also have some summer squash there as well that I'm going to be preparing. And we had some beans, and I actually had 2 different types of beans. And sometimes we'll just mix them together when we're cooking, and so that works out perfectly. So there's the other one right there. And I'm going to be linking my previous video at the end where I showed you how I was able to, very quickly get the seeds to sprout in just a few days. And these seeds were from a nice Jamaican pumpkin that I had. Some people call it a different name, but it was really creamy and nice. So we thought we'd get some of the seeds and get that going. So basically, these are the seeds right here. I'm just sealing them off. And again, the video at the end will show you, step by step how I got them to this point. And don't put any more water than what you're seeing here because you don't want your seeds to rot. And it's a good idea to have the plastic over it so it doesn't dry out, because if it dries out, if they started sprouting, then they're gonna die back, very quickly. So just some things to bear in mind there when you're doing that. So I went ahead and I did buy a tomato seedling, just to get a head start before the seeds came up. And of course, the marigold is right here. And you can take a closer look at the seeds and see that they're coming up right there. Everybody's popping out. Even the little tomatoes right there that has some little tiny roots. I'm not sure if we can make them out or not, but those have started coming out too. So we're going to go ahead and put them in our flower bed. But just to say that it's a good idea to get these, it's a little like, labels. And I actually got these from the dollar store. You get your Sharpie marker and you go in and you write whatever it is that you're planting. So that way, when they start coming up, you know exactly what is where. And it helps you, to be a little bit more organized in your garden. So this is it right here. Everything has been put down. And I have my tomato cage. I put it over the tomato when I planted that. And I also have some poles I'm going to be using for some of the beans and all of that. And you can see that we kind of built it up a little bit so you're not seeing 2 rows anymore. So of course, that's not a step for you. You would just go ahead and leave your 2 rows or how many ever you're doing there. So once they went in there, the next thing to do was to go ahead and give them water. Of course, I could have gone ahead and I could have used the hose, but for me, this was just so relaxing, listen to the birds singing and everything. And it's good exercise too. So, it's really, especially on a nice, pleasant day, it's just absolutely wonderful. So I just took my time and I went through a couple of times to make sure that everything was nicely soaked out so that they would have a really, really good head start. So, whatever works for you, but always water them, I'd say, like either in the morning or, in the evening, but don't wet the leaves. So just a sneak peek here of what they're looking like so far. These are some of the the green beans right here coming up very nicely. And over here we have some of the pumpkins that came up. You can see they're coming up very nicely. I just absolutely get so excited when they start showing up and just like, okay, so they are growing. And here's a tomato. And this was just like about 10 days after. So you can see they're growing fairly fast. And I was quite happy with that because even the tomato had some small blossoms coming out. And what I did was I went in and I took off, some of the bottom leaves. And I linked my video at the end that shows you how to care for them and to, add Epsom salts so that, they get more power and just give you, some really good crops. And over here, my husband, he planted some red onions. And I am so looking forward to that because we've never planted that before. So that's going to be so exciting. And then next we have the marigold. And of course, it's coming up nicely. In no time, you're going to see it get a lot taller and look really good. So I hope that this gave you some great ideas for your gardening needs, for your raised bed. You can let me know in the comments, how it's going to work out for you. And if you've never subscribed to my channel before, be sure to hit the subscribe button and tap on the notification bell for future gardening topics. Happy gardening. Take care. In today's video, guys, we're going to be taking a look at some beautiful plants and flowers that they had on sale for spring at the Home Depot. We're going to go over their names and prices as well as the best places to plant them in and around your home so you can get great results whether you're a beginner or you're a seasoned gardener. And if you've never been here before, my name is Marlene. Welcome to Marlene's How To's, my home and garden channel. So the first ones you're going to be taking a look at are these beautiful hydrangeas, and aren't they absolutely gorgeous? These ones we're going for $12.98. These larger ones here are absolutely gorgeous as well. They almost look like, strawberries and cream, so beautiful, and they like sun, as it says right there. So always bear in mind where you're going to be putting your plants when you put them outdoors, if you have a sunny area or not. These were going for $24.98, and they're in just beautiful containers. They last for a long time. And of course, once the flowers have faded, you can transfer them out to a flower bed or even to a larger pot. So they'll be coming back for you year after year, and you can enjoy them. And they also had some beautiful white ones here as well too. These are the largest hydrangeas I've ever seen, to be honest. The mop head ones. They're just really, really large and absolutely beautiful. Next perennial would be these daffodils right here. Of course, we're getting towards the end of their season, but nevertheless, if you want to have a nice pop of color, these were going for $3.98. And you can always plant them, once they've faded, and they'll come back year after year, but put them in a sunny spot. Next up, another yellow one here we have. These are calla lilies, and these ones you can see they had flecks on their leaves. And these like shaded areas, and they do come back year after year as well. And that's the wonderful thing about perennials. You plant them, give them some care, and you're rewarded every year. And these ones are actually going for $14.98. Next, we have the rhododendrons, absolutely gorgeous in your landscape. These grow to be fairly large, so they make like good hedge plants for just a little bit of privacy. They can grow to 7 or 8 feet high. They're such a mainstay of many southern gardens, and these were actually going for $29.98. And you'll have to take them out from there. Now bear in mind, guys, it's good to know your planting zone area. If you're not sure, any pack of seeds that you buy, or for the most part most of them, it will tell you, so you will know when it's best to start putting your flowers out, so that way if you get a sudden cold snap, you don't have to worry about it. Of course, if you're in a tropical area, then that's not an issue for you. Next, we're going to be looking at the bulbs or dried roots. And these are also perennials because they come back every year. Some of them are a little bit more tender than others, but we'll talk about those individually. And here we have some dahlias. They had so many varieties of there. We have some nice gladiolus right here. And these were all going for $9.98. And I think I'm going to do a video on gladiolus further down in the next few weeks, So be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell twice so that way you'll definitely know when that is coming up. You just saw some black-eyed Susans down there. These are very, very good. They come back every year, very disease resistant, so not much problems with them there. It's a beautiful lily right there. That's a Casablanca lily though, not like the Easter lily that I showed you a few weeks ago from my garden, but nevertheless, just as beautiful. There's some wonderful peonies right there. We have astable, and those are mixed. So you basically just go through and take a look for what you want. The only thing about when you're planting dried roots and bulbs is that, you know, some of them may not necessarily bloom that year for you. You may have to wait until the following year, and it takes a while for them to come up. But you're so rewarded for this. I'm telling you, you do it and you will not have any regrets. Unless if you wanted a pop of color right away, we can always get some other types of flowers. But, you know, they will take their time and come up, and they, you know, they usually multiply over the years. And, you know, it really suits all of your needs. These smaller ones are for $4.88. And so I would say definitely try them. You know, I don't think you'll have any regrets there. By the way, guys, this is not a sponsored video. This just happens to be very close by to where I live, and I like going in there. Your dahlias, those you'll want, they'll have to be taken up over the winter because they're so delicate that they're not going to be able to handle a cold winter. And some of them grow very, very large. You know, they can be as large as saucers, you know, sometimes even larger than that. So, and look at that one, so pretty. And we also have some hostas here. These are very good. They come back every year, and the flowers that they produce actually attract hummingbirds. So don't sleep on those hostas, guys. They're absolutely beautiful. Next, here we have some snapdragons, and these are very, very beautiful. Only thing I will say is that they are cool weather flowers, so you can enjoy them, you know, for the spring. But once it gets to, you know, late spring, beginning of summer, they would have faded, and so you just have to enjoy them for those weeks when the weather is cooler, and then that's going to be it for you. Because in most cases, they will not come back the following year. They're not going to be able to withstand the cold. But they're definitely beautiful, and these were going for $12.98. If you want a nice pop of color for this season, then definitely go for it. Well worth your time. And they attract lovely pollinators too. And next we went over to our sunflowers. I must say that I was surprised to see them. But they are there, available for you and beautiful. And over here now we have, this is called percalis. And these like part sun. So if you have a little part sun area in your yard, they don't come back every year though, so they're not perennials. These are actually annuals, but certainly a lovely pop of color. And these are great for butterflies, you know, bees, all the wonderful things that help to pollinate your vegetables and so on. So I would say definitely worth a try. And as you can see, you know, they had the purple ones here, but they also had different shades. And they had so many of them in here. Absolutely gorgeous. Next, we have another shade plant here. This one is called cyclamen. And these were, I think this is the 1 quart size. These ones were going for $11.98. And again, these flowers were pretty large, but some of the larger ones I've seen in a long time. And as you can see, they have different colors. You know, you have the whites, you have the pinks, and you have the darker shade looking more like a red. And these are not just gorgeous for the flowers that they produce, they're also gorgeous for the leaves. Look at that, they almost look like a heart in a heart. Absolutely beautiful. And these make little nice little gifts. You could put them in a little, you know, another container and just give them to someone. Now here we have some coral bells, and don't sleep on these guys. They're also called Hiracha, and they actually were going for $10.98. They come back every year, and they make great, you know, bed liners, or, you know, around the edges of your flower beds, and they produce some beautiful white flowers. And, you know, they're showing you some container garden styles here where you mix and match. And we did talk about it in my previous video, which I'll link at the end for you as well. Down here, the filler is what they would have here as the coleus. Absolutely beautiful. And then they had the elephant ears in here as their thriller plant. They didn't have a spiller, but they hardly need one in this case. And speaking of that, I did get a question from the previous video about what to put in hanging baskets. Well, here's a good example for you, which also embodies the rule of spiller, thriller, and filler. The spiller in this case would be the small white flowers that you're seeing hanging to the side. The red geraniums would be the thriller in this case, and the white petunias, those would be your fillers. So that's a perfect example of how you could do that. And you can always mix and match them, guys, to get what you like for those results. And speaking of the petunias, here are some wonderful ones with different shades. These were actually 6 packs right here. Look at this beautiful pink one here. And the rain had fallen a little, the day before, so they're a little bit not as perky as they normally would be, but they're going to come up in no time. And these were for $3.98 for the 6 packs. And those are some vincas right there. These are better just planted by themselves because they can be a little bit tall, maybe like up to, I'd say, about a foot, and very leafy, as opposed to our beautiful petunias right there. And we have some Sweet William sticking in right there as well too. So some more vincas here, very disease resistant, very easy to care for, and they like sun. And sunny areas mean that you have 6 or more hours of sun each day. And these are some marigolds right here, and these make good companion plants. And if you want to do the benefits of companion plants or show you different types of companion plants in a future video, you can leave me a comment about that, and I'll be more than happy to cover that for you. But they're very inexpensive, and if they're not like strong hybrids, you can actually get seed heads from them when they dry, and you can get more plants coming back from them every year. So that's a good way of saving money by getting the seed heads and planting them, and then just having them fill out your space. They have those beautiful colors that go so well with just about anything that you're trying to match in your garden. So those are our vincas. Now, if you're wanting to have, like more of a show in a shorter time for your petunias, you can get the larger containers like these right here. I do believe these were for $7.98. These are the 1 quart ones. So if you didn't want to wait for too long and you want to have a lot of color, then you can get the bigger ones. Those would be available for you right there. Then they had some ornamental peppers. So if you like that kind of a thing, and they said that they're edible, so if you like that kind of a thing, then you could certainly try for those. They certainly have a beautiful, pop of color. Over here we have some verbena, and these are great spiller plants. They like sun. I think I'm probably going to try some of these again this year. As you can see, they have different shades. They hang over very nicely in your hanging basket or in your container, or just at the edge, of your flower bed. If you're into succulents, and these are the ones for you here, they already put them together, where you can see they have a mix of different types there, different shades of green, and I just think it is so adorable. This is for $16.98, a nice gift for someone to, who likes that kind of a thing. It's already put together, so you can just give it to them that way, or you can even have it in a little sunny table area, on your porch and so on. And over here they had some beautiful dianthus. You already know I like dianthus. This is a taller version of them. And like this whole combination right here, the succulents, the phlox, the dianthus. If you have like a rock type garden, have like rocks there and so on, if you want to give that earthy look to, then these are a perfect choice. And by the way, guys, carnations that you buy in the store sometimes, they are in the same family as the dianthus. So I just thought you might want to know that little tidbit right there. Always beautiful and inexpensive as well too. So now we're going to take a look at some plants that just love shade, and these are some bromeliads right here, cousins to the pineapple, and that one was for $12.98, and they produce some really nice flowers. Of course, you have the speckled ones there, the lighter shade ones, and just for a close-up, this is what they look like here. And these will also multiply too over time, so good choice. And over here we have some creeping Jenny. This was the one that I used in the previous video for my spiller plant. Has a very nice color, and they cascade very, very far down. We have some asparagus ferns as well here too, but these usually are best just planted by themselves to fill out a nice hanging basket or something like that. Another spiller plant here would be the ivy. And these you have to be careful though, because they can spread a lot. So I would say put them like in, containers or hanging baskets, so that way they're kind of contained, because they can take over your whole yard. And you can see the price right there. No southern garden would be fully complete without an azalea. And these beautiful ones here, you can see that nice shade of pink. They have darker ones as well there too. And I think I'll do a video. I'm not sure if I'll get to do it this season, but certainly the next one we're going to talk about azaleas, because they are just something to see. They like part sun, and they are absolutely gorgeous. And if you like say this amaryllis right here, this is another choice again, like for your porch. And now let's take a look at the pots. These are they're kind of pricey, but you can see that they're quite fancy. You can always downscale if you don't want to pay that kind of money. But these are some beautiful pots, that you can use to put your plants in, especially if they're for indoors. And these peace lilies would be a perfect choice for pots like those. Great gifts, great for your home. And they don't give a lot of problems, and they don't need a lot of light. And you can see the price that's on there right now, $29.98. And they also had some palms as well too. And these are also nice for like office settings, like for a home office, or even if you're getting something for your your office building, then these are some good choices. And they also had some garden statuaries here. Pineapples. The little yellow one kind of reminds me of SpongeBob when my kids were younger. It looks a lot like his little home. You can see the price on there, $19.98. So you just take them in, and they look really nice. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the indoor plants. So right here we have a combination of pothos at the bottom, and this was for $34.98, along with what they call masking or house cane. And these are really nice, pretty easy to care for, and they just, add that special touch, I think, tropicalness, if you like that kind of a thing. Next over here, we have some prayer plants. And these, they sometimes say that these can be a little bit difficult to grow. So if you're a beginner, this may not necessarily be the best choice for you, but you can certainly give it a try. The monstera here below, on the other hand, these do very well for most people. So definitely worth a try. And we have the alocasia right there on the left. Absolutely beautiful. And these are good like for your desk, or you can put them in a little corner of your home. Nice little shelf or something like that you've built for your plants. They don't need a lot of light, but they do need some. So don't need them in the dark. And then we have the ZZ plant on the left there, or the alocasia right here. And the smaller ones, of course, will cost less. If you're trying to cut back on price, you can start off small, and then over time, you can get the larger ones. And they had some bonsai trees on here, and these were for $20.98, which is not unusual. These are very fancy plants, so of course, you're going to have to expect to pay a pretty decent amount of money for that. And if you come over to the calancho, more inexpensive option, they have many different colors here, really looking like spring over here. These ones were for $5.98, and you can have them stay indoors, under enough light coming in, or in some cases you can actually plant them in a cooler or shaded area like on your porch. Or you can put them as filler plants around a thriller plant in the middle. And if you're not understanding these terms too clearly, be sure to check out the video I'm going to link at the end for you. It's going to go through all the details so you can fully understand that process. And if you love plants even half as much as I do, then this is a channel for you. I do lots of gardening, give you tips on things that have worked for me and how to save money. So hit the subscribe button and tap the notification bell, and that way you'll never miss an upload. So here again are the beauties, guys. Those coleus, it really caught my eye so much, and these wonderful hydrangeas. So beautiful. So if you do have any questions about anything you'd like to see me discuss further, any plants you're having any problems with, be sure to let me know in the comments. I'll be happy to take a look at that for you. And of course, our begonias, I can never say enough about those. So inexpensive and so easy to grow. So I do thank you so much for watching today. I wish you all the very best. I hope you'll have fun in your spring garden. Enjoy the pollinators, the butterflies and bees, hummingbirds as they come along. And I do hope to see you in the next video. Take care. Are you sick and tired of bending over and pulling weeds by hand? Well, today we have a solution for you. Today we're going to be unboxing the Grandpa Weeder to see if it can help us with some of the weeds in our garden. We're going to give you an honest review of exactly how it performs. You'll see the unboxing, of course. And if this is your first time here, my name is Marlene. Welcome to Marlene's How-Tos, my home and garden channel. So here it is, guys. The Grandpa Weeder arrived by Amazon, And we got it fairly quickly, I would say. And by the way, this is not a sponsored product. It actually happens to be a gift that my sons got from my husband for Father's Day, which we certainly appreciated them doing that for us. So I'm going to go in now and unbox it just so you can see exactly how it was packaged and how it came to us. So you can see there, and I just open it up pretty easy. And I must say that it's very lightweight. I wasn't sure what to expect. So this made it pretty easy here for us. The handle, it felt very smooth. So already I like that because it just feels easier to handle. Of course, I always try to wear gloves and whatever I'm doing for safety reasons, but if you didn't, it would still be okay. And you can see it was covered in a bubble wrap right there. There's no insulation there because I guess you really didn't need it for this product. And you can see here that, they have the tie wrap on there to secure it in place. So everything looks good so far. So let's take a closer look. You can see here, they're going to show you some steps, 1, 2, 3, and we'll take a closer look at that in just a moment. And they're also showing you a common weed, the dandelion, that it can be used for. And we took it outside, and you can see here it says Grandpa's Weeder since 1913, no bending, kneeling, and it gets the roots. So I guess we'll find out in a few minutes, right? So here it says that you center it, just giving us details a little bit on how to use it. You center it, and then you press the lever that's right there, and then you lean it, and that should do the trick. So this is what we're looking at this point, and you can see it has a tie wrap, like I said, right there holding it in place. And that was actually the most difficult part, just to get the tie wrap off because it was pretty snug and secure, but that's perfectly fine. That's good packaging there. So let's go ahead and test it out. So as you can see, we have some weeds here getting ready to be taken care of. And what I'll say is make sure that, you moist the soil, water it a little bit because we had some rain that fell. So the soil was fairly moist because, if it's really hard, it's going to be more difficult for your job. So we have some dandelions. We're going to go ahead and get started. And just to say before I go any further that if you like gardening and flowers even half as much as I do, be sure to hit the subscribe button and tap on the notification bell so you'll never miss an upload, and you'll also get recommended past videos as well too. So first, my husband here is opening up the claws right there and centering it over the weed. And in this case, we chose one that was pretty sparse so that way you could see clearly what he's doing. And he has his safety shoes on there, safety first, as usual. And we're just easing it out gently. And there you can see the root because they said that it gets the root, and clearly it does because that's a long tap root and it came all the way out. And now we're going to the crabgrass, and you can see this is a nice sturdy looking one right here. So again, he's placing it over the center and just pressing in. And in this case, it had a lot of roots under there, so he was just taking his time just to be sure he got everything. Since it's fairly new to us, we wanted to figure out exactly what would happen. But it's not that it was hard to come out. We were just going slowly to see how it would work. So lots of roots under there. Some soil does come up with it. So you can always go in and kind of like dust them off if you like. And that's what he is doing there. And there's a wrong way to do it. If you lean it to the other side that you don't have the lever on, nothing much really happens. So he went in again, and this was just us testing it to see, the pros and cons. So you turn it the other way where the lever is, and it comes out with very little effort. You didn't even have to press on it that time. So we're going to go ahead and try a different type of weed over here. Now these look similar to like dollar weeds or like, the wild violets. And they have little, like rhizomes under them. So he's pulling it up to see how it looks. And there you go. Easy again. Over here now, this is like a small oak tree, a little volunteer oak tree. And in this case, I'm going to go ahead and give it a try to see exactly how it works. So again, I just place it over the center, pressed in. And there you go. The top broke, but you can still see it there that I got it out completely. Roots and everything came out. And now over here we have some white clover. And what I'll say about like wild clover is it can spread a lot. So if you have like a mat of weeds, and it might not be the best option for you, but you have little spots here and there, then it is perfect for that. Also, if you've been watching my videos, you'd have seen this fern video that I did previously, and how we went in and we covered it over. We used really these little river pebbles for mulch. In cases like these, of course, you'd have to clear the river pebbles first before the tool would go in and do its job, because the little rocks are going to get in the way. And here's an example of what I mean. This one is called spurge. In Jamaica, we call it milkweed, because when you break it, that little white sap come out. And surprisingly, it is in the same family as poinsettias, and that would be euphorbia. They also have the white sap on there. So I'd love for you to leave me in the comments, guys, whatever weed it is that you find the most challenging, weed or weeds, that bother you the most. I know dandelions are pretty much high up there, and that's because of how they spread. You can see the little seed heads right there. They get tossed around by the wind, so they spread very easily. And kids like to play with them too, so even more reason why that might happen. Over here, like grasses, like the crabgrass right here, they're also wind pollinated as well. So of course, you always want to make sure that you get your weeds before they start to seed, because then it's just going to make it harder for you to control it. So we really did like the product. We like the handle, and you can even lean on it if you like to. Like if you're getting tired out in the yard, it will support your weight pretty much. So we thought it was a really good product, and I'm linking it in the description box below for you. You can get it on Amazon if this is something that you think would work for you. So we have so many different types of weeds that we have to deal with, but there are easy ways around it. And once you get rid of them, you have more time to spend and enjoy your garden, which is what we want, to be out there, enjoy the butterflies, the bees, of course, our lovely flowers, smell them and just relax and enjoy the breeze. Now check out this little fun moment that we had with the kids.
Go.
So let's go ahead and test it out. So I hope this gave you some great ideas. I hope you like the grandpa weeder as much as we do. And again, you can always get one if you like. I do want to thank you so much for watching, and I do hope to see you in the next video. Take care. And now for the grand finale. And if you made it this far in the video, you're the best. Leave me a flower emoji. Welcome, friends. So glad you could join me. Today I'm going to be decorating my porch as a part of my Christmas series. And I'm going to show you step by step how to wrap your porch columns like a candy cane. And we'll also take a look at some of the other things that I'm going to put there, like plants and so on. So the first thing that you're going to be needing is your ribbon. These are velvet ribbons, and they're actually 2 inches wide and they're 30 feet long. They have different patterns and styles that you can use, different colors, but this is the one that I chose. Now, if you're doing 4 columns, you'll probably need at least 5 of these. If you're doing 2 columns, then I would say 2 would be sufficient. It's always better to have more than less. And then you will need to get the curling ribbon, and this you can get at your hobby stores. Next, you'll need to have a stapler, or if you have a staple gun, then you can use that. It'll actually have a cleaner look, but I'm using the staple today. You also need to have a pair of sharp scissors that we're going to need to cut the ribbon with. And you need to have some cellophane tape that we're going to use to bind the curling ribbon. I use a chair to stand on. I just prefer doing that. It feels safer to me, but of course you can use a ladder if you prefer to do so. So we're going to go through step by step to see exactly how we get this done. So right there is where we're going to get started. And we're going to get the scissors and we're going to cut at an angle. Just go straight up. So that's going to line up with the column. So I'm going to place it right there and then try to make sure that the angle is formed the way you see me having it there. And then you'll get your stapler and you'll put your staples in to secure it. And then you're going to go ahead and just start wrapping it around. And you can take the ribbon off the roll if you like, or you can leave it on. And if you have someone to help you too, it also makes the job easier. So now you just want to make sure that you're going to keep it as close, just have it lay flat as close to the column as possible, because that helps to make it more neat. and it also makes the process a little bit easier as well. So you see I'm straightening it out here just to make sure that it stays that way, because when you start off having the right pattern and having it go at the right angle, it makes the whole process so much easier. And then you just keep wrapping, you just go up and you check every now and then to make sure that it's smooth and also that you have a fair amount of similar distance between them. It's really not a perfect science, but just try to have it, as close as possible. And you can see I'm getting close to the top here. So we're just going to go and smooth it out again and go ahead and take it right around. And just trying to make sure it's really smooth right there, as you can see. And then once I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and bring it around to the other side, and then we'll need to have it secured in place. And I'll just use a staple to secure it. And then we're going to go get our scissors after we've stapled it, and we're going to go ahead and just trim it off. And so that takes care of the broad ribbon. So then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put in the little pinstripe, is what I like to call it. But let's take a look first and see how it's looking. So this is a good time just to inspect it, make sure that it looks, as close as possible to what you want, so that we can move on to the next step. So that's looking good to me there. So now we're going to go ahead and get our curling ribbon and our tape. And what you want to do is to make sure that you're looking at the distance, and then you're going to put it right in the middle. Just as how you started at the bottom with the broader ribbon, you're going to start the curling ribbon in the same area, but just make sure that it is, halfway between both broad ribbons there. And you want to make sure that you secure it properly with the tape. And once you put it on and it's dry, even if it gets a little moist outside, it will stay in place, because it always does for me. So you go ahead and you follow the same angle as you have for the broader ribbon, and you just work your way around. And if you make any mistakes, you can always go back, have it straightened out, and just have it come over again. So I'm taking it around there again, and we'll just keep repeating the process until we get to the top. So see, I'm straightening it out there just to make sure that it looks really nice. So we're almost there. And then once you're finished, you take a look and just see how it looks. And then once you have that pattern in the first one that you have done, then you're going to try to make sure that the next one that you do is as similar as possible. And you can see here I put out some plants. I have some poinsettias. I put my wreath up. Of course, we're going to put in icicle lights once we're finished with all of that. You can add little trees that you can plug in on there. There are different things that you can do to just make it special and make it your own. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. And remember to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you so much, and enjoy your holidays.